in every generation, we need to reimagine how the gospel, the same gospel, impacts new contexts.
The thing that amazes me is how the same gospel and the same content is applicable everywhere. And it just testifies to me to the fact that this is God's gospel. And He's speaking to people who are made in His image everywhere, regardless of the city they're in, the socioeconomic place they're from, the color of their skin. The same gospel touches hearts everywhere, which testifies to the fact that God is amazing.
There's something that happens when people come from different places, different cities, in the continent, to be able to come together and discuss issues of reaching their city.
What the gospel does that religion cannot accomplish is a radical transformation of the heart.
Many times we are Christians in name, but when it comes to issues of corruption and where our culture goes against gospel truth, we are not any different.
People almost remain the same, and as a result, every 10 years we have a political crisis, a major political crisis, and those things, they become like a manifestation that something has not really been changed at the core of who we are.
Part of our problem in Africa is that the gospel, we understand it in the Western idioms. So it does not sit down well. It becomes two lives. But they need to transform the gospel into our culture and our traditions. How does it transform it? How does Jesus Christ become Lord in that tradition?
When you preach the gospel in a clear way about how Christ is the one who came to save us, we don't do anything to deserve His salvation, but He does everything for us, and then we, in response, then worship Him and live a good life. That often comes as a big shock to a lot of people.
I believe that the training is so important. As we looked at what the gospel is, I take the Bible and it was like, gospel is written everywhere. Everywhere you look at it, it's there.
There is a training element, but there is a gracious work of the Holy Spirit also at the same time, where you gain new eyes, or your mind is open. There's an understanding of the gospel in the context of the whole story of the Bible, all the themes of the Bible. If I were to highlight, if I were to pinpoint to two things that have stuck with me to this day, it's discovering the gospel, but also thinking about how it changes literally every area of our lives and our ministries.
Leaders working together is really, really, really difficult. It's been challenging, and part of it had to do with our history.
What we've realized is that so many people have been working sort of by themselves and independently without having others to work with.
There's been the great desire among the churches and among the various organizations to collaborate widely, and people have been struggling to see what that might look like.
We see the exposure to what City to City is doing, catalyzing this relation building and all of that as just at the right time. It's like a push to get us going for what we know we should.
It seems to be that there's a combustion as some of these desires and some of the inputs that God has put into some of these leaders over years, 30 years, combines with the work that we're doing, and it feels like it's empowering them, it's enabling them, it's strengthening them to do what God has been calling them to do a long time ago.
It doesn't matter which denominations or tribes we belong to, but if we have the gospel at the center, then we can come together. That has been a joy, getting to know other brothers who love the same gospel, who want to see people come to know Christ.
And it gives me a great hope for what things might look like in 10 years, in 20 years' time.
There's a sense of hope in the room. There's a sense that the Lord is doing something in Accra, the Lord is doing something in Kampala. the Lord is doing something in Joburg, and that gives us hope that God is at work in other places in Africa.
It's the God, and it's His good news, and He's speaking. He's calling our people. He's made in His image back to Himself, and so just testifies to His goodness. The fact that there's this one message that resonates with all His people everywhere just speaks to the fact that He's the Lord of all. He's King of the universe. He's God of Africa.